recently read The Lives of the Ajungo, so let's talk about it. I want to start by saying that I understand that the hype that this short story rather, has gathered. However, I do have some issues with the final sequence specifically and how our main character strives for fighting for freedom for his people. For most of the short story, I feel like community was incredibly important to our main character. The only way that he's able to survive in the desert is by the goodwill of others who teach him new skills, and it's how he learns magic and how to fight. And it's very important for him in his character development, these other people from these other cities that are also facing oppression similar to his own. However, at the end of the story, he insists on taking the fight back to his own city by himself. And I think with a lot of the messaging that the rest of the short story has, there's some really good quotes that I'm going to share that I really loved. I love the world building and the overarching plot of this book, that I really wish that some of those quotes have been taken into him wanting to have others fight with him and then also to fight for others, especially since their oppressor ends up being one and the same. Essentially, our main character is a young boy who lives in a city with no water. And part of the oppressor's dynamic to keep them oppressed is to give them the bare minimum of water to kind of, sort of, not really survive, but requiring that when they turn 13, that they cut out the tongues so that they cannot communicate what is going on and what is happening to them. And at this, before you turn 13 as a child, you have the option to go to the head of the city and request that you be allowed to leave in search of water with the hope of getting to save your people and your family, which is what our main character does. On that journey, he meets people from other cities that he finds out are very similar to his own in their experience. And they teach him new skills and also give him empowerment and the ability to fight back. Here are some of my favorite quotes that I would like to share with you. It was a twofold price, a price of blood and a price of history. And untongued people cannot tell their story. I think this is such an incredibly powerful quote when we think about what histories we keep, what history is told. And it's very prevalent, I feel like, in the United States right now with the censorship of freedom of speech, what's allowed to be taught in classrooms, the critical race theory, the talks around slavery and how all of that is being reframed because we don't want to make white people feel bad. So this quote was very, very powerful. This next quote kind of gets into why learning history and understanding the histories and context of things can be so powerful. They knew that all of history was a lie told to instill fear in those whose fearlessness could have rewritten it. I want you to really sit with that one and just think further about how supposedly history happens in these circles, yet so few people actually tend to learn the actual history and just accept things because they were told it by an oppressor or an oppressive system. All that to say that I really loved the themes and world building and characters of this story. I just wish the ending would have changed, and I think this would have gone from a 3.5-star read to a 5-star read for me. I think the message of community care and community resistance is so important that the main character standing on his own at the end really just took me aback and kind of made me sad, because I think so much of the rest of the book really places an importance on that.